Back your corner.
Oh, there was a bit of hesitation there, Mitch. I'm not sure they wanted to touch gloves. I'm not sure that Benedict Ang was up for it. Trash talking, you say, between these two.
There's been a lot of heat on social media between these two. Saying the Wolverine against the Super Saiyan. Let's see what happens here, Steve.
Fight!
Mujtada in the white comes off with a kick to the midriff straight away, follows it up one more time. The rose-colored hair of Benedict Ang took a little bit of a shake there.
Typically, Benedict Ang likes to ground and pound his opponents. He likes to control the cage, use the takedown, take his opponents down, and beat them up. But is he going to want to go to the ground with a submission specialist like Mujtada?
Left, right, left from Mujtada.
Mujtada says his undefeated record is actually 7-0. So there's actually been a mistake somewhere in the record keeping. So he says he has more experience than he actually does.
Sometimes it's hard to find the detail of professional mixed martial arts events around the world. Fighters quite often claim that their record is better than the official one that's touted. No reason to disbelieve him.
Nice little shot there by Mujtada as he fakes. Now he's got Benedict Ang up against the cage. This is where Benedict has proven that he is very, very strong up against the clinch. Yep, able to spin Mujtada around.
Takes some strength to do that and some balance. He's got good feet, Benedict Ang. These two coming from two very impressive gyms, Pakistan and Singapore based respectively.
Fence! Don't grab the fence.
Benedict Ang showing that strength.
Don't grab the fence,
showing that strength by keeping Mujtada pressed up. You can see Mujtada try to change levels real fast, but Benedict Ang wasn't having that.
You could hear Olivier tell Benedict Ang not to grab the fence. You can push off it, use it to your advantage in any way you like, but you cannot grab it, either with fingers or toes.
You gotta wonder, is Benedict Ang gonna be changing his strategy? He's been working a lot on the striking aspect of his game, especially with Eddie Ang out there at Evolve Mixed Martial Arts.
Standing a little bit square on, Benedict. Is that his usual game, Mitch?
Yeah, but he also changes his footwork quite a bit, so you can see him transitioning between southpaw and orthodox, moving in and out between his stance. So he's just trying to give Mujtada a few different looks so he doesn't quite get comfortable in his stand-up.
Olivier calling for action. It's been Mujtada that's been pressing the pace in the stand-up so far. On knees from Benedict. Pulling that head down, lifting his knee, hoping that the two will collide. Left jab. He's got nice movement, Mujtada. Not much sting to those punches just yet. Throwing them with arms, not much shoulder, not much transference of body weight.
You can also see him pick up his back foot a little bit, and that's going to take a little bit of the power away from his right hand. The overhands coming from Benedict.
Oh, concerted assault from the Singaporean. Moved backwards and then just checked his movement and threw that left leg up high towards the head of the Pakistani.
Mujtada doing a good job of controlling the center of the cage there, where you can see Benedict's kind of landed a bit more of the effective strikes.
Took a good left hand there, the Singaporean.
Nice knee from the clinch there by Benedict Ang.
Just coming up to a minute and a half left in the opening round. The two smile at each other in stark contrast to some of the chatter that was going on before this fight. They both look to be enjoying themselves though, Mitch.
Yeah, when you start getting into that zone and you find that area where you're just flowing, you know, you just enjoy yourself, and that's when you really see exceptional performances.
Or left hand, it's a very good slick left jab, isn't it? It's caught Benedict flush a couple of times.
Benedict is able to land some body kicks, but he's not really turning his hip over to land it effectively, and he's just kind of touching him though. Nice little Superman punch from the entry right there by Mujtada. He's dropping his hands on a lot of those punches, Steve. You can see kind of punches from his chest, leaving himself very vulnerable for a counterattack.
Yeah, he did land Benedict with that left hand, but got caught straight away as he was bringing his hands back. Quite right. He's got to be careful of that. Final half minute of the opening round. Right hand from Mujtada.
That landed nicely.
Left hand from Mujtada as well. Benedict getting caught flush in the face, and a lot of it is because of those low hands. Oh, some attitude from the two of them. Final 10 seconds, overhand right from the Pakistani, brings the knees up, as does Benedict. But this round should close out before any significant damage is done.
Those are a lot of big punches there thrown at the end of the round, but a lot of air. They're just whipping, barely missing these big hands as they're throwing back and forth. Let's take a look at the replay here. Here's Benedict going with an aggressive overhands left and right as he's marching forwards. And they're just barely grazing each other with some of these big shots. You can just see him going right over the top. There's a nice knee landed from the clinch there. A little bit of dirty boxing by Mujtada. Let's go ask Rich Franklin how he has that first round there.
Well, I'll tell you, this fight's really close so far. Both these guys are being very aggressive. You're seeing some strikes thrown from range. You're also seeing some work in the clinch here. But I got to edge this at this point in time to Mujtada. He's when they're clinching, they had a couple clinches where Ang landed a couple knees on the inside, but Mujtada, most of the time he's dirty boxing his way out. He's established a good jab, and Benedict's been able to just pot shot here and there. Like I said, very close fight, but if it got stopped at this point, I would personally edge it out to Mujtada.
As you said, Mitch, there's been a number of punches that have just grazed. You're just waiting for that big bomb to land flush. It could make a big difference.
You know, we're seeing a lot of new elements to Mujtada's game because typically his fights go to the ground pretty quick. But we have seen Benedict go, deep into rounds before.
Oh, but he's looking handy standing up, as Rich pointed out.
You see Mujtada's trying to put a little bit more pressure on there. He immediately takes control of the cage and is dictating where the fight is actually taking place. Nice little right hand there landed by Mujtada. Body kick and landed. I like how Benedict's starting to put together his combinations a little bit more. Add some kicks at the end of these punches.
Benedict blinking hard. He's a little bit reddened around the nose. No sign of blood there, but signs that he's taken enough punches to that face of his, that young face of his. Just 20 years old.
Whoa, nice counter right hand from Ang.
And I think Mujtada was saying, look, I'm not hurt, but you have some respect. Oh, straight left jab. It was ramrod. And it sent Benedict Ang back onto his back.
Oh, but he's able to pop right back up. Mujtada finally able to get this fight to the ground, and Benedict just pops right back up.
Just gave him that space, just that second, and great athleticism from Benedict to get back onto his feet there once he saw the daylight. But what a ramrod jab that was. We were just waiting for that flush punch, weren't we? And it came then. Now, Benedict cannot clinch that cage, and sure enough, Olivier gives him a bit of a warning. He may find himself yellow carded if that continues.
Benedict's doing a good job to avoid a lot of the heavy shots by Mujtada.
Oh, left hand is a nice one.
Countering back. Nice little body shot landed there on the kick.
Neither of them have a particularly high guard, which makes it quite exciting because we're seeing good punches to the head. And there was another left jab from Mujtada that caught Benedict flush on the chin. It wasn't quite as steely as the one that felled him. Point scoring, though.
You can start to see a little bit of redness developing on the face there of Benedict Ang. A lot of facial hair there for Wolverine, so we're really not seeing a lot of damage there. Nice jab, though, Steve.
It's a stiff jab, isn't it? Not just a point scorer or a rangefinder. That one hurts.
And that's what could be reddening in the face there of Benedict Ang, is just lighting them up with that jab.
But Benedict's had plenty of success with the single punches because, like his opponent, Mujtada is carrying his hands pretty low.
He's actually able to use that left kick pretty effectively, and he's actually scoring with it, but he's not following it up with anything, or he's not really turning his hip over to get maximum power out of it. Just barely missing. I'd like to
Yeah.
see him set that up a little bit more. Nice little inside leg kick. Mujtada answers right back with a kick of his own.
Benedict tries to grab that leg and see what he can do when his opponent's just standing like a stork.
Fight!
These punches are getting heavier and heavier in terms of single blows. They're missing a lot of them, but when one lands, something's going to happen.
There's that left kick again, landed by Ang.
Look how low those hands are from Mujtada. And Benedict Ang is no slouch. He's got the speed.
Nice left hook there. I'd like to see him follow that up again, but we got 1 minute left. Both these fighters are undefeated, so somebody's always going to end here tonight in Singapore. Nice left hand by Mujtada.
It's been the most impressive punch of the fight so far, Mujtada's jab. And it keeps coming. There it is again, turning Benedict's head.
The hands are real low from both these fighters, and they're just kind of trading these one-shots. Oh, nice back take by Mujtada as he has 23 seconds here as he's trying to lace that hand under the neck. And he landing some good strikes, some good ground and pound, just to kind of leave that impression on the judges and going to the elbows to the body.
Oh, they look vicious, didn't they? Sharp
Once
point to the
again.
elbow to the ribcage,
Watch out, back of
punches
the
to the
head.
head. He's got to avoid the back of the head. I think he's going to run out of time to do any significant damage here as the bell goes, but it's another thrilling round. Tough to separate these two, although I figure that the man in your screen just has the edge, and that jab, Mitch, is one of the big reasons.
Yeah, here was that takedown that he followed up with the jab. There's a nice little left hook landed by Ang, but then we see him the way he slides around to take the back of Benedict Ang. Gets in there, controls with one hook, finally gets the leg over into the other, but then he starts mixing up his strikes. Punching to the bot, punching to the head, elbow into the body, trying to distract Ang. Rich, how do you have it so far?
Well, I'll tell you, prior to that takedown, this was a very tough fight to call because both of these guys are landing one shot at a time. You know, neither one of them are really getting any kind of momentum going. Mujtada is a bit more aggressive. He's winning the takedown category at this point in time. Most of Ang's scoring in that category is really takedown defense. Of course, at the end of the round there, he established some ground control, and I have him slightly ahead on the striking superiority. He's really established his jab. He's coming forward. He's a bit more aggressive, and we can see the damage in Benedict Ang's face, superficial damage. So at this point in time, I think he's lengthened his lead just a little bit. Still a close fight, though.
What does the Singaporean have to do to take home the W?
I think he needs to be a bit more aggressive, but he can't be reckless with his aggressive. And he can't just throw one good body kick at a time. He's got to put some combinations together and actually start doing some damage.
So Mujtada slightly ahead across the board in all categories according to Rich. We have 3 judges at cage side. Remember, the entire fight is judged all in one go. We don't split this up into 3 rounds. The fight in its entirety is how the judges view the contest.
Mujtada is the one initiating a lot of the action here. He's putting together some really light shots, not really doing much damage.
Oh, nice right hand from Benedict.
Benedict comes right back to prove me wrong. Nice combination.
And for the first time, we saw an uppercut from Benedict Ang.
Yeah, Benedict might be feeling a little bit of this urgency. Now he's starting to move forward with a bit more aggression.
There's that jab again from Mujtada, and I was also impressed a moment ago how he just moved effortlessly out of range from a 2-punch combination from the Singaporean. Mujtada is looking impressive today. Both of these fighters unbeaten. Mujtada 5-0, although he says he's 7-0. Benedict 3-0. The perfect record will go this evening for one of these guys and will be extended for the other. Unless we have a draw, of course.
Both fighters are changing stances, and it's really difficult to get a bearing, to get a read on your opponent when they're constantly moving back and forth. I like how these fighters are mixing it up.
Looking for the big counter-attack, Benedict.
And that's what he needs. He needs to consistently put pressure on there and go after it. He needs a big knockdown or a possible near finish to take this, according to Rich Franklin. There's that jab again coming off real fast. I like how he's moving his head, though, Steve. He's throwing that jab out, waits for the counter, and slips out of the way of it. Nice little single leg attempt here by Mujtada. Benedict jumps into it, possibly going for a flying submission there. Spending a lot of time with Shinya Aoki out there to evolve mixed martial arts.
It's not a bad guy to get some experience with on the ground, is it?
We'll get to see that a bit later tonight. Now Benedict's the one pushing forward. Now he's the one taking center of the cage. He should have did this earlier in the fight. You can see him just kind of trying to reach out there, engage the distance, get control, a little bit of hand fighting from a stand-up position. Don't see that a lot lately. Nice little jab, though, thrown by Ang.
Switches stance, Benedict, doesn't he? Sometimes leads with his left, sometimes with his right. He can move back and forward quite quickly.
Action!
Olivier Coste calling for action as we reach the final 2 minutes. Benedict gets a bit showy, but he's got to work hard now. He's got to do more than just a little bit of showmanship. There's a little bit of substance needed from the 20-year-old at this point. And he collects a right hand to the face while hopping around on one leg.
I like that up front kick that he threw right there, and he followed it up with a nice little jab, but he's got to put the heat on him, because Mujtada looks to be up, according to Rich Franklin.
You can see why Mujtada enjoys carrying his hands low, because he's got great movement of the head. He just moves out of range, and even if he does get hit, even if Ang's punches land, he can take some of the fury out of those blows just because his head's moving in the same direction as the punch. Requires great timing and great confidence, and that was a nice left hook from the Pakistani. And Benedict Ang now is facing potential defeat unless he can really do something special in these last 70 seconds.
Mujtada continually, now he's trying to reestablish the cage control, dictating where he's trying to take this fight. One final minute left, according to Lenny Hart.
And they're both having a lot of fun in there, tired as they must be.
Both fighters' mouths open, breathing heavy. Walking forward, just kind of throwing one punch at a time. Or one kick from the body shot right there thrown by Ang.
Flipping left hand from Mujtada.
Goes in for the takedown, snatches up the single leg and scores another takedown. He's landed the takedown in each of the rounds.
Benedict is so adept at getting up off the ground as soon as he gets a moment.
Yeah, we saw what happened when Mujtada had a few seconds on the ground. He was really able to swing around and snatch the back up.
They exchange punches. Mujtada's lip is cut, but it's not going to make any difference now. It's too little too late for the Singaporean as Mujtada finishes with a final flurry, and we are done in this one. 3 5-minute rounds are over. The judges will look at the entire 15 minutes and decide which of these two fighters should get their hands raised by referee Olivier Coste.
There was the attempted takedown by Mujtada. There was that front kick that landed to Mujtada by Ang. Good back and forth battle. Rich, break it down for me.
I'll tell you, this is what I love about MMA. We talk about Mujtada's ground game. We come in here and we see basically a stand-up fight the entire time. Look, this fight continued the same way. These guys doing single pot shots here and there, one jab at a time, one kick at a time or whatever. But in my opinion, Mujtada was just moving forward a bit more, landing slightly more volume, and possibly did a bit more damage. I would edge it out to him.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's a close
after
fight.
3 rounds of battle, we now turn to our judges' scorecards. All 3 judges have called this fight in favor of your winner by way of unanimous decision from the blue corner, Ahmed Mujtada.